It's gonna be good, it's gonna be great, it's gonna be better, I can't wait. Making my move, live for the day, sing like a bird, fly like a plane. Come spill with me, Jenny D.
Hello, my beautiful people. It's me, Jenny D from Spill With Me, Jenny D podcast. Thank you for joining me today. It's June. It's post-life. Talking about senior care. This is so important to us, and I'm so excited to have my sponsors for this month of June. I have Heritage Financial. Thank you so much. And I also have my guest today, Ben, who is the owner of Oasis Senior Advisors. So Ben, I'm so excited you're here today. I would love you to just introduce yourself to the listeners and the viewers.
Yeah, absolutely, Jenny. Thanks for having us on today. And my name is Ben Meyer, and I'm the owner of Oasis Senior Advisors of Southwest Pennsylvania. And we're a free service for seniors and families when it comes time to consider either senior living, whether that's independent living, assisted living, or memory care for folks with a dementia diagnosis, or just any types of resources for the aging population, from home care to attorney questions, estate sale people, a host of other professionals as well that help out with folks as they're aging.
You know, I love that. You know, we don't think about those kind of things. Like we think, when it comes to our parents and the seniors out there, a lot of times, I keep thinking about this right now, Ben, is like, all these nice places that have been opening up, they're so expensive.
Right, they're very expensive.
They're very expensive. And I'm like, okay, well, if you're ever looking for somewhere, because we were talking about that with my husband and his parents, like they're in a ranch, but it's still steps.
Right.
So we were like, okay, well, maybe we should look into other places. But when we look at the price, that's what's really, I think, harming a lot of people. So you're leaving your seniors in their home that maybe is dangerous for them.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yep. There's a lot of new places out there that are expensive as far as senior living goes, for sure. But there are also other economical places out there as well that provide the same amount of support, just at a little different price point, when some of the brand new ones that pop up and that are very shiny and new. So
brand new and shiny, and everybody wants that. No, wait, we got to go back. So Ben and I go way, way back.
A long several years.
I don't even know. This is before I even started my podcast.
Yes.
I was working at Wano Chiropractic, and I was doing the marketing. And I remember we were at it was like a fair. I think it was health and wellness something like that. And I was there, and Ben was there, and we just started chit-chatting. I was like, what do you do, Ben? And Ben is just one of those people that, he's so nice, and he's got that smile, and he's just friendly. So we've been friends for a while, and I'm always like, wait, what do you do, Ben? So bring us back a little bit, Ben. Like, why'd you get into this? Like, what did you start? Did you go to school for this, or like, where are you from?
Yeah, so originally, so they were originally born and raised in Iowa. So I came out here in my corporate life before I did. I know, good old corn-fed and raised. So so I actually grew up a Hawkeye fan and a Steelers fan because I wanted black and gold all weekend. So I grew up Hawkeyes and then Steelers on Sunday. So that ended up working out well that we moved here. But my schooling is actually an engineering degree, and so problem solving is enjoyable for me. So as I got into this role as a senior advisor and helping families, every day that I get a new phone call or a new family that I work with, it's very interesting because everybody has a different scenario, a different situation, and a different path that we're going to get to a resolution of the problem. So.
Right. So you went for engineering. Mm-hmm. So what made you have your own business and start all that?
So I have always wanted to do my own business and have my own thing. And with Oasis as a franchise system, it allowed me to have my own business, but also have some support from a little bit more of the back end side of things to be able to do what I want to do and help people out when it comes time to have this difficult decision with their loved ones.
So Oasis Senior Advisors is like a franchise?
Yep, it's a franchise, yep.
How many are in Pittsburgh? Are you one of...
I'm the only one here in Pittsburgh.
Are you?
Yep.
That's the only one?
Yeah.
So when you were like, what, in your 20s or thought, I know you're only 35, but when you...
Thanks.
I'm only 40. I got to go with 40 now, okay? I'm older than that, so I can't do the 29 or 39. But seriously, like when you didn't... Like, did you decide, okay, I don't want to get into engineering, like I really want to do this? Like, what made you want to get into that franchise?
Yeah, so I looked at a few different franchise opportunities and came across Oasis and really fell in love with what they're trying to do as a mission overall, and really be the go-to and the leader when it comes to being that resource and that expertise when it comes to senior care and caring for the elderly population. They really want their advisors and their business owners to be part of the community itself.
Yeah.
And really be a person that can be a trusted advisor for families when it comes to this tough time.
I love that because, and here's the thing, Pittsburgh, if you've already noticed, a lot of people never leave.
Right.
So our elder population is probably one of the biggest, would you say?
It's very condensed here, yes.
Yes. And it's, and if you, do you cover like the Pittsburgh area or the Southwest, or do you?
Yeah, so for the business that I own as an individual with me, I cover the Southwest part of the state here. So down to Washington counties, up obviously through Allegheny and up to Beaver and Butler, go out to Westmoreland, and even we'll do some Lawrence and Mercer if the calls come in from up there. But as a franchise, we have businesses all across the country. So, folks from Columbus to Cleveland, down to Frederick, Maryland, over along the East Coast, obviously several in Florida.
Yes.
But yes,
right, that's another great retirement place, right?
Yes. So, but no, we have business owners all across major metropolitan areas across the country and even some rural areas.
That's true. So, okay, I'm going to pretend that I'm calling you on the phone, Ben. I forgot to tell him we're going to role play. Yeah. I was a theater minor, okay?
Okay.
So don't be stealing my thunder. Okay, so here I am, my mom is, she's getting older and I need senior care. I need an advisor. How would I go about, like, who do I, like, that's the thing. I think that people are looking and searching for someone. How would they go about contacting you, and what's like a scenario of like what somebody would call you for? Typically
when somebody calls me, they get referred over to me from a doctor or a friend of a friend or an estate attorney or something like that, because of typically it's the child of the loved one that's doing all the legwork, right?
Right.
So the child will call me of the loved one, and we'll have like a 30 or 45-minute conversation around what's all going on with the loved one. So are they living at home? What's their daily care needs like? What are they struggling with? And where they're at, like, cognitively along the aging process. Do they have some memory decline issues? Are they having medication management issues? Oftentimes we try to have these conversations before there's the crisis moment.
Right.
When somebody's in the hospital and families are left trying to get things all done here in a very short period of time.
It's so true.
It's very hard. I mean, we do help families every day in the crisis moment, but it's very less than ideal for the families.
Right. And I think it's hard, is because, I mean, I don't know how I'm going to be, but I know that, they're stubborn. They don't want to do this. I don't want to leave this. I don't want to sell my house, or I don't want to. What do you like? What's the kind of financial advice that you give to them?
And as far as the financials go, we do talk about the financials as far as just overall pictures go when it comes to the overall big picture of the individual that's needing help. So we're just looking at 30,000-foot view of what the overall asset levels are like. Okay. Do they own a home? Are they? Is there a spouse or a military veteran involved that they served in active duty wartime? Do they have a long-term care insurance policy that they would need? Is there any investments, any IRAs? We're looking at pensions, social securities, anything along those lines. There are other times too where families are financially able to contribute to the care of the aging person, and so those are all the types of things that we look at when it comes to the financials.
Okay, so you're going through all those and you're seeing like where they're at, where they need to be. So you give them advice and you say to them, okay, look, we got to put this in an IRA, or if you want the kids, like the will and stuff like that.
Those types of things we're working with the financial advisor on. Okay. We're just taking a look at the overall financial picture. we're not making recommendations as far as where to go in life.
I do that.
Yeah, yes. No, we are not making financial recommendations. We are just looking at what the financial picture looks like so that we can determine what the long-term trajectory is of either paying for care in the home, paying for care in a community. Right. You know, so we want to put a plan in place and a roadmap in place what that would look like financially, working with the financial advisor.
I didn't think about, and you just don't know, like, that's the problem. You don't know when the time comes. Like, you don't know when it should be. Like, I'll be like, oh, you know, my parents are fine. They're doing great. Is it okay to start early, or is there a certain age that you want to?
It's absolutely okay to start early and having the conversation with folks as you start to see some decline. So as you start to see maybe a trip and fall, that this fall wasn't that bad this time, but what if they fell and hit their head?
Right.
Or if you start to see some medication errors and missed medications, those are always small indications that somebody is starting to have some sort of cognitive issues that they may need to start having conversations about things.
Right. Heck, I forget things now. I'm like, oh gosh, Ben. Yeah, I think that's the other thing too, is, you know, you don't want to think about that. You don't want to be at that point in your life, but we have to. And, you know, I know you have to do the will, and you have to do this and do that.
Yeah.
And, you know, I told my dad this too, and we've told my husband's dad, like, put the house in our name or something, because what if something should happen?
Right.
You know, like, there's always that, what if they could take your house?
And to your point about nobody wants to talk about this, you know, nobody wakes up in the morning and says they couldn't wait to talk to Ben with Oasis about moving their loved one into assisted living. Right? These are not fun conversations.
You're not a very fun guy to hang out with.
Yes. No, these are not things that people look forward to in life as they age and becoming the sandwich generation, in quotes.
Right.
Where they're now parenting their parent, and now they're having to parent their kids, but then also parent their parent. You know, this isn't a glamorous time of life that everybody looks forward to.
It is not. How long have you been doing it now?
6 years.
6 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like you're right. Like, you know, here we are, like, we're in this generation, and I feel like it's like, I don't know. I feel like that the parents are the baby boomers, or maybe not. Am I still?
They're getting there. Yeah, they're in that time frame.
They're in that time frame. So, you know, there's probably a lot more seniors out there that do need, like, advisors and someone to kind of give them advice. Because there's the thing: somebody calls you, like, you don't call them on the phone, right? Unless they
reach out.
Oh yeah, unless they reach out. Because I think that, like, a lot of people too are, like, nervous to answer the phone. You don't know if somebody's legit or things like that.
Yeah.
But knowing that you own it and that you've been doing it for 6 years, and give us like a scenario of something that happened, that why it's so important for people to contact you.
Yeah, well, one of the main things why it's nice to contact us is because we're a free service.
Did you know that?
Yeah. So we're
free.
Yes. So we are a free service to the seniors and families that we help out with. So.
Oh my gosh.
In essence, when we work with seniors and families and we refer out to any of the assisted livings or independent living buildings in the area, and then the individual would move into that building based upon the referral, then the buildings pay us a referral fee for that referral.
That is excellent.
Yeah,
I love how that works out.
Yeah.
Yes, so it's a win-win.
It's a win-win, you know.
They're comfortable. They're in a place where they're comfortable, and you are the ones that help them get there.
And we help them get there. And, you know, for the Pittsburgh area, and I know for nationwide, like for Pittsburgh in the southwest part of the state, there's over 130 different types of living arrangements that we refer out to. So
oh my gosh! We're going to go through them. Let's do Let's start with number one then.
Yes.
Well, okay, give us like the top 10.
Well, it depends upon the situation, right? So it depends upon the care needs. It depends upon the financial situations. I mean, a lot of it's geographics. We got a ton of bridges around here, right?
True.
So
that's true.
Some people are okay with bridges. There's a lot of people that they're not crossing that bridge.
Yeah, that is true. I didn't think. Well, and I always think about this too. Like, if your parents lived here in Pittsburgh and they were elderly and they needed service, they needed your help, but the kids, you know, their children are in another state. Is there, like, do you ever have that scenario?
Yeah, it depends. If we definitely have had that scenario where we can help the individual stay here, or we can refer to our other partners with the Oasis system and help them move from Pittsburgh here to the other city where the children are located at. Too, absolutely, we've done that, and we can work as a team, you know, across cities and make sure the family's getting that full support.
Right, because that, you know, that's the other thing too, is like, you don't think about, like, where, you know, I'm thinking about this now as I have one child still in high school, and I think, where do I want to retire? this podcast. I just started 3 years ago. I can't retire. I'll be calling Ben. Ben and Jen. We're Ben and Jen.
Yes.
But I keep thinking like with senior care, and it's in my mind now because my knock on wood, my family, my parents, my husband's parents, my dad, everybody's doing well. Their health is good. Do you say that, is it when they're like maybe getting dementia, or if they get sick, is that when you prepare, or is it better to prepare before?
It depends upon the individual. I mean, we work a lot with independent living communities where you have an apartment, and a lot of these independent living places, you can have 1 to 3 meals a day. You have your apartment, but all the, you don't have to worry about snow removal to the extent we have snow anymore. You don't have to worry about a lawn.
Yeah.
There's transportation services. There's housekeeping that's done.
Really?
So if you want an environment where you just basically live hassle-free, there are some independent living options that are good for you. Now, if you are good with things at home and are able to take care of things, and then home's great. And then obviously when we look more in the assisted living side of it, that's when we look more about the safety concerns of somebody being in the home, whether there's lots of stairs. Like I said, we talked about the medication errors. Those can cause big issues. And then when obviously physically somebody is unable to do their daily hygiene needs for themselves anymore.
Right. Yeah. And because you could have like a nurse come in, but because sometimes I think that, not saying for me, but I know that some people are stubborn and they don't want to leave their house.
Yep.
So they will have, somebody come in and do that. Do you find services for them too? Like if they're like, hey, I want to stay in my house, can you find me a cleaning service, or can you find me someone?
Yeah, we will refer out to a lot of home care companies that are in the area for sure. Yep. There's a number of different home care options for people to come in and do that housekeeping, do that companion care for somebody that just wants somebody to sit and talk with. Do that assistance in the showers, helping maybe get up and get tidied up around the house and those types of things. So we definitely work with a lot of home care companies in the area.
So wonderful, Ben.
Yeah.
He's a saint. Saint Ben. Hey, that's our church over here. But no, I just feel like that with we talk about Post Life because that's the name for June.
Right.
Post Life. And I think that we don't talk about it enough, in our generation of like how we can help the seniors and how like, hey, wait, I'm listening too because eventually I'm going to be a senior.
Right.
And so I want to know what's going on because sometimes you want to prepare.
Right.
And I think nowadays it's better to prepare because just the cost is going up with food and with everything, gas and stuff. So if you have like a budget and like you give them a financial advisor so they can talk to them. So you kind of put them in the places where they need to be and who they need to talk to.
Absolutely, yes. Teamwork is a big part of what we do.
Yes.
Whether it's the family, the other professionals they're working with, the attorneys and the financial advisors. But yes, we want to be a part of that when it comes time to consider caring for the aging population.
Right. Oh, I love how you say aging population. I keep saying elderly, so I should be saying aging population. I'm going to say that aging population. Hey, that's me. I'm an aging population. But so when you started this business, what did you find was the hardest? Like one of the, I don't want to say loopholes or hurdles or something that you found out, like especially in this Pittsburgh area, of talking to people or helping people. Did you find any loopholes or?
I mean, I don't know if necessarily it's the hardest thing or the loopholes, but it's always the same old thing. Like you mentioned earlier, of people that are, really dead set on staying in their house and then really putting themselves in a little bit of harm's way because they're holding on to the house and holding on to an environment that's not necessarily the safest for place that they can be in.
Right.
We've had a number of scenarios over the years of people that say it's not time yet to move into an assisted living, and then 3, 4, 6 months later they call and they had a fall and now they've broken hips or cracked a vertebrae, and now they're in a really bad place, and because they fell downstairs or tripped over a rug or tripped over an oxygen hose or something like that.
Right.
And it just is unsafe and stuff happens. So
it is hard, because as much as you want to give advice and you want to help, and it's almost like you said, it's like when we're children, our parents are taking care of us.
Mm-hmm.
And then when we get older, we are taking care of our parents.
Right.
And we want the best care for them. We want the best, they have done so much for us, as their children. Do you come across someone who does not have children or family and they call you or they,
Yeah, we absolutely will work with folks that don't have a loved one or a family member, and for those instances, if they need other representative services such as power of attorney, we can absolutely connect them with folks to be their power of attorney.
Right.
I've definitely done that in the past where folks don't have where they were never married, they never had any kids.
Right.
And they just need somebody to make sure all their affairs are in order.
Wow, that's wonderful.
So, yeah, we'll definitely connect them with what we need to there.
I love it. So if somebody was listening right now and they were like, oh, okay, well, hey, maybe I need to, do you go to their home or do you have an office? Do they come to you? Or
so we'll go to their home or whatever place is most comfortable. There is no home office, or for me, I don't have a storefront office building, but whether that's in a Panera or another public coffee shop or something like that, we'll meet them at their house. That's fine too. So yeah, we'll go wherever they're at around the southwest part of the state here.
Oh, really? So you're like a traveling.
Yeah, absolutely.
I like that too, because here's the thing. Nowadays, everything's remote,
Right.
Nobody's really sitting at a desk. I can't say that. There's a lot of people sitting at a desk, but you're able to get up and kind of travel or work from home or do things like that, which makes it so much easier for all of us. And, if someone, doesn't want to have to leave their house to talk to you, that's so nice that you can come to them or you can meet them and just kind of like get the ball rolling that way. So if I was to call you, Ben, and I said, Ben, I have my dad, and we need to like really figure out what his plan here. Can you come over? Let's sit down. Let's have this conversation. Is it one meeting, one and done, or do you come back, or like, hey, we don't know if this is going to work for us? Or
well, in general, it's never really one and done. As far as the number of meetings after that, it just depends upon where the individual is at that time. I mean, generally the first meeting is going to be a little bit longer because we're talking about what our services are, how we play into this process. And people in general just don't know about senior living.
Yes.
So they just try to put it off. And so we have a full conversation about what senior living looks like, from independent living all the way through assisted and then nursing homes.
Right.
And what's the difference and all that. So it's never just a one and done, but it depends.
Can you tell me the difference? I'm like, that made that difference, Ben. Okay, so independent living is that you are able to cook for yourself.
Not even that. Like there are some independent livings where you can move in and you get a small kitchenette in the room, but then they provide those 3 meals a day. Some places independent living have meals options 7 a.m. to 7 a.m. to 7 p.m.
Okay.
But you do your own daily hygiene needs yourself. So you're bathing yourself, you're dressing yourself, you're keeping up with yourself.
Right. And like you said, there's no maintenance because there's somebody doing the yard work, doing this, doing that.
Yeah, and the independent living building will have a staff member that's in the building 24/7, right? So there's that assurance of a security person there, and that the doors are locked, and no strangers are coming in and out of the building, and they have an emergency push button if they need help.
I didn't realize
they have an emergency. Yeah. Okay. So it's supportive living in a sense that there's some small supports around the individual.
Right.
To meet them where they're at, and they, it's one floor. They don't have to do stairs anymore. There's elevators.
So that's so nice, especially if they have a walker or they have a wheelchair. So this will make it so much easier for them. So that's independent living. Okay, so what's the next one you said?
Would be what we call assisted living, or what the state of Pennsylvania calls personal care.
Okay, personal care.
So for all intents and purposes, they're the same thing. Pennsylvania just has a different licensure when it comes to this type of hands-on care for an individual. So in personal care and assisted living, that person typically is getting med management. So they're on either 5 or 10 or 15 meds, and they can't keep them all straight, or they're not sure, they're forgetting.
Like I can't even keep all mine on straight.
I know. There's a lot.
My vitamins, Ben. We were talking about my vitamins.
Yes.
But yeah, it's true. Like you need someone to kind of be there for you, because there's times where I'm like, oh crap, I forgot to take mine.
Right.
So it's not just of like if you have dementia or something like that. I know my both of my mom's mom had Alzheimer's.
Okay.
And my dad's mom, but she was in her 90s, eventually had dementia.
Gotcha.
And so and she was in a nursing home.
Okay.
And I remember we would, go visit her, and the staff was just so wonderful and so nice, and they all knew her, you know. And I felt at ease seeing her there, that she's being taken care of. And we all visit, we would visit her and stuff. And, you would see like other people there, and I thought, I want to go talk to them. You just, your heart your heart aches for people that are sitting there and they're alone or something like that. And you want to make sure that, but with a nursing home, because that's the next one, right?
Yeah, so with assisted living, it's obviously we talked about the med management, but it's also the hands-on daily cares of like getting transferred from a bed to a wheelchair, or if you need help going to the bathroom, getting transferred on and off the toilet. If you need physical assistance with cleanup after going to the bathroom, those types of things. Getting transported from your room down to a dining room area, or down to an activity, right? There's somebody that can physically wheel you down so that you can participate in the meals and participate in the activities. So
I know you can also, like, there's things that you can get. I've seen those like on commercials where you can have your stairs. You can have that thing that comes down for your stairs.
The stair lifts, yep.
And those are things you can recommend for people too?
Yeah, that's for more staying in the home.
Right, that's for the assisted living. Okay.
The stair lifts are more for the services that would keep somebody in the home.
Okay.
So assisted living were people that are getting transported, then they have the elevators in the communities, right? So there's no stairs really in the assisted living buildings.
That's true.
So
yeah, I didn't think about that. Yeah, because you're not. Heck, I don't even take the stairs anymore. I should be though. But so when we're talking about nursing homes, and sometimes I think it's as like sometimes you don't want to put your family, but you can't take care of them, especially if you're working full time and you're trying to juggle everything. What do you recommend with nursing? Is there a lot of nursing homes here in Pittsburgh?
Yeah, so there are a fair amount of nursing homes, and when we look at the difference between a nursing home and assisted living, the clinical reasons somebody has to be in a nursing home is a ventilator, a feeding tube, or a continuous IV. So from a clinical care perspective, those three things would require somebody to be in a nursing home over assisted living.
Okay.
Assisted livings around the western part of the state here can take very high care needs, such as a mechanical lift. Some do diabetic wound care. Some of them will do bed-bound individuals that really can't get up out of bed anymore without full assistance of two people.
Right.
So, but from a pure clinical, the main difference from a nursing home and an assisted living is that ventilator, feeding tube, and continuous IV.
Okay.
So
that, I think this information is so helpful because I feel like I'm learning as we're sitting here talking. I said to Ben, I said, listen, you are just going to tell me everything because I need to have this knowledge as well. And I know there's probably people listening right now or viewing that are saying, oh, wait, you know what? Maybe I should start thinking about this now. Maybe I should start putting my, ducks in a row. And just so that you're not like, oh my gosh, they fell. They're in the hospital. They get out of the hospital. And guess what? Now they need care.
Right.
Now they need assistance.
We didn't mention the hospitals too, right? Like when you have a parent or a loved one that goes to the hospital, it's like, well, we go in there, I can't find anybody to talk to. Like, who do I go to? Where do I go? What they're saying this and that. Like, then they want to discharge. Like, now they're saying I got to pick places.
Right.
So that's where we can also be a strong advocate for that individual because we're in the system every day and can walk in and find the person to talk to, ask the right questions, and make sure.
Okay, so if, like you said, Ben. Okay, so I'm at the hospital. I have my loved one there. I can call you and say, hey, Ben, listen, I don't know what to do now. I don't know the next steps.
Yep.
Because you don't know who to call, like attorneys or this or that. But by calling you, it's almost like you are like, not the middleman. What is that? Like
an advocate.
You're the advocate that's going to steer you in the right direction so that you're not getting all these other people calling you, sending you these things. You need to do this. You need to do that. And I think that's what, a lot of people feel that it's overwhelming.
It's so overwhelming because a lot of times you're working with a social worker one day, then the social worker at the hospital will be a different one the next day, and talking with the doctors, somebody leaves, talking with the doctors and nurses about tests, and what are we trying to find here? So there's so much going on in the hospital, yet there's no way to talk to and get all the answers for.
I know. I'm so glad you said that because I would have never known because we haven't been there, but they are there at the hospital to take care of you and your needs, and that's why you're there. But as far as going further and going home, that's when you need that assistance.
Absolutely.
And
that's what we're here for.
And I love that.
Yeah.
So it's been 6 years.
6 years
that you have owned the Oasis Senior Advisors.
That's it.
I love that. So is there anything else that you think that we didn't touch on that you think maybe the viewers and the audience should know?
I don't really think anything we haven't really touched on, just to remind folks that, we have no obligation. There's just by talking to us, you're not committed to anything. You're not committed to signing up for something.
Right.
We're not going to slip you a bill in the mail. Yeah, there is no gimmick involved with anything what we do. We're truly here to provide education and assistance for folks because it's just an overwhelming process.
Yeah.
And nobody teaches you as you get older that, hey, this is the class you need to take on helping your aging parents.
Yeah, you're so right. Yes, I mean it's so true. We don't have anybody telling us, and and I don't think about it. I'm like, oh, I don't need to think about it right now because it's not happening. But hearing from you and learning so much about, like, what about this case scenario? What about this case scenario? So then it puts it in perspective that you're like, whoa, wait a second here. If I kind of just talk to you, even if they talk to you right now, and maybe they don't need a lot of the referrals just yet, but at least they will have that in hand.
Yep, just save my number.
Yeah, and they'll just be like, hey, I talked to Ben, and he told me that, I need to get this and this, and that's such a great service, Ben.
It's always just good to know who to call when you have the crisis.
Right. I'm so glad I know Ben. Jen knows Ben, so Ben told me to call you.
That's it.
I so appreciate you just coming on, talking about what you do, and I really appreciate what you do, Ben.
Thank you.
You care, and that's what matters. And I can tell, like, the first time I met him, I just knew that, like, this was, I wouldn't say a great profession, but I'm saying that, like, this is such a great part of who we are as people. And, I want to put this out there so that people are listening and they know, like, hey, there's education, like you said, here's some awareness. So that people are not scrambling at the last minute.
Crisis is not great, but we, like I said, tell families we help people in crisis every day, and we're just here to, like you said, just be that strong advocate and be that voice for you guys and help you guys work through this process.
I love it. I so appreciate it.
Yeah.
I appreciate you for being a Spotlight supporter for Spill With Me, Jenny D. And I appreciate Heritage Financial as well. And I am just so delighted to have you. And I feel like that you have educated me, Ben. And I will, if you need any information, Ben, give them your email and your phone number. Or what's the best way to reach you?
My website's the best. Probably it's oasissenior.advisors.com/Southwest Pennsylvania.
Is Southwest spelled out?
Yes.
Yes,
it's Southwest-PA.
Okay, because I thought it was like SW. Okay.
Nope. So oasissenioradvisors.com/Southwest-PA.
And what about a phone number, hon?
My phone number is 412-853-5877.
All right. We're going to call you. Call anytime.
Yeah, anytime.
I was going to say, do you have hours? Or?
We work when the families need help, right? If we need to do weekend appointments or evening appointments to get everybody on the same page with work schedules, then that's what we'll do. So
I love that. It's the convenience of having someone there to say, it's okay. Yeah. Because the stress that we go through, and we see that, someone comes in. I didn't even realize that that you were out there doing this.
Right. That's the biggest. People don't realize that there is a service out there to help them navigate this whole world of senior care.
Yes, I know. So you need to call Ben. If you need any help with your senior care, Ben is here.
That's it.
Thank you so much for being on Spill With Me.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, babe. Take care.
Come spill with me. Come spill with me. Come spill with me.